I think they could beat the Clippers.
I do too.
I think we're watching the best scoring duel in NBA history.
I agree.
I mean, when you see what Luka's doing, we already know who Kyrie is, probably the greatest one-on-one player. If you have a one-on-one competition, I'm taking Kyrie. and so, yeah, I know the Clippers beat them a couple years ago. They didn't have Kyrie. But since All-Star break, they've been one of the best defensive teams.
They have.
Ranking opponents' field goal 8th. Mm-hmm. They're scoring better. I mean, they have all the ingredients of a team that can get to the finals.
What's going on, y'all? Thanks for checking in with Callie. Please like, subscribe if you haven't. So the disrespect towards the Clippers starts now. You know, listening to what you just heard from Paul Pierce and basically Skip Bayless in the background that basically agreed with Paul Pierce is that the Mavericks are going to beat the Clippers. And you've heard me say in my previous video that the Mavericks are going to be a tough matchup and everything like that. And, you know, of course, any series, any team can lose, if we're being honest. No team, it's no guarantee, any series, any playoff atmosphere, there's no guarantee for any team that steps on the floor. That's why everybody has the same record, which is 0-0. Everybody has an opportunity. Everybody's record is different. Like when you step into the playoffs, your winning record, the first time you step on the floor, is 0-0. The other teams is 0-0. They haven't won anything yet. Neither have you. So everybody, it's an equal fair game, equal ground. I'll give you that. But to hear Paul Pierce sit there and say, and Skip basically attest to what he's saying, that the Mavs will beat the Clippers. It's kind of crazy to hear him say that because Paul Pierce was the one all season talking about how the Clippers can, you know, the show with him and KG, how he talks about how the Clippers could win the championship. And don't get me wrong, this is one of them situations where he's looking at a Mavs team. Now they added Kyrie, they added a couple other players, and they played better defensively for the latter part of the season. That's good. They caught fire at the right time. I'll definitely give them that. And like I said, playing against Luka Doncic is always tough for the Clippers because they seem to make it tough on themselves playing against him, even when he didn't have somebody like Kyrie, which I think they should have beat him in 5 games the other 2 times they played them. But instead, it went 7 games, and the Clippers basically just, you know, BSing around, and I really didn't understand why. But I mean, you know, Luka is a handful. I'll give him that. But when you have Kawhi and PG, now with James Harden and Russell Westbrook, along with somebody like Norman Powell who can come off the bench and drop big numbers at any point in time. We just saw Bones Highland, you know, have a great game the other night against the Phoenix Suns. And, you know, Brandon Boston can cook also. I mean, you know, you got talent on your team. You got, you know, better bigs to me in this matchup. All around, the Clippers had the better matchup. There's no way they should lose this series unless they just absolutely collapse, fall apart, and BS. And, of course, we've seen the Clippers do that against the Denver Nuggets in the bubble a few years ago. So I think that's what a lot of people always go by and are reminiscent of when they talk about the Clippers collapsing and things like that. And then, you know, of course, health. Health is a big issue. I will give, you know, the media that. The Clippers have been, you know, stagnated by health the last few years, and hopefully going into this year, it'll be different. We haven't seen Kawhi play in a few games, so that might alarm some people, and hopefully, you know, that would, you know, hopefully Kawhi be 100% healthy when it's ready, when it's time to go, which I believe he will. He has about, you know, 15, 20 days off dating back the few games that he missed last week and the week before leading up to the playoffs. So, I mean, he'll have about a good amount of rest that he needs and everything to kind of go. So hopefully that will be a good, you know, regeneration for him. You know, he can regenerate his body and, you know, get himself going again. And that'd be great for the Clippers, along with Paul George and everybody else staying healthy as well. But I just don't see how anybody can really, I don't see how they really would just go ahead and pick the Mavs over the Clippers, my personal opinion, because when we talk about experience, you know, if you listen to that Undisputed clip where he goes into and says that, you know, Kyrie has experience, has won a championship and things like that. That's one guy on the team that's got championship experience. And that one guy wouldn't have won the championship without LeBron James. And LeBron James was the guy on that team. Kyrie was the number 2 guy on that team. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. Kyrie was a big part of LeBron winning that championship. But, I mean, still, that's one guy on there with championship experience. That's not like multiple guys on there with, it's not like multiple Hall of Famers on the team and like 4 or 5 Hall of Famers or something like that. I mean, they have a good team, don't get me wrong, but they have a really young team, and what I think a lot of analysts are not looking at. And even on ESPN, like some of those analysts, it wasn't Skip and it wasn't Shannon Sharp and Stephen A. It was Monica McNutt and a few other people on ESPN First Take who gave their take, and they went with the Mavs also. You can also check that out as well. And it's like everybody goes with the Mavs because they either want to just disrespect the Clippers and or they really just like Luka Doncic more. I don't know what it is, but all the years they picked the Mavs have lost. And don't get me wrong, it was some close ones because, like I said, the Clippers let some of those series go a little bit too far. And I will say, if the Clippers do that this year, they could find themselves losing because Kyrie and Luka have kind of figured things out. They really have. So, I mean, I'm going to need Kawhi and PG, not just Kawhi. I need Kawhi and PG to basically fire back at them every single time. And don't get down 0-2 in the series and try to flip a switch because that's not going to work this year, I don't think. I personally don't think it will. Of course, anything can happen as long as you got Kawhi Leonard on your team, but I don't like to see the Clippers in situations like that. My personal opinion, it's going 6 games. I would like it to go 4 or 5 games, of course, but I personally think it's going 6 games, possibly 7. And I think the Clippers will take it. You know what I'm saying? Clippers have home court advantage in this series. They don't need to go down 0-2 the way they did a couple years ago because they had home court. And I think it was exactly the way it is this year. They was the 4th seed and the Dallas Mavericks were the 5th seed. And the Clippers, they lost their first 2 home games and they had to go on the road and make miracles happen. So it's like you don't want to put yourself in that predicament by going out there and, just BSing around because you got the better team. That can get you beat. And I think, I think the Clippers really need to send a message. Honestly, I really, truly hope the Clippers beat them in 5 games. 4-1. I don't think the Clippers should let up any because, like I said in my previous video, it is time to dominate. Now, all this other stuff, these analysts are talking about and all these other things, put the kids to bed, shut everybody up. It's time to dominate and move on to the second round because these playoffs here, it's only going to get harder as the Clippers go because their second round more likely is probably going to be somebody like Denver and or possibly the Timberwolves. And so it's like, okay, if that's possibly your second round matchup, of course the Clippers can beat Dallas if they don't BS. Of course they could beat Dallas and they should beat Dallas. And I believe, of course, they will beat Dallas. But your second round is not going to be any easier. I mean, it's not like you're getting a team where you match up very well against them. If they hypothetically get the Timberwolves the second round, the Timberwolves have been a problem for the Clippers early this season. Only second round matchup I think that the Clippers would favor very highly would probably more likely be the OKC Thunder if they was able to get that. But I don't see them getting that feature in the second round. It's possible. We have to see how it shakes up, but I don't really see that happening. If that's a second round for the Clippers, that might be possibly a little bit easier than the first round. Who knows? I don't know because, SGA has been playing well and, OKC has gotten better throughout the season also. But I think the Clippers have the better matchup there because the bigs and the paint, they can dominate more defensively in regards to, shutting down everybody else and letting SGA do his thing. And, they can, in that matchup there, I think they will get the most rebounds. They will out rebound the Thunder quite a bit, I think, with the Clippers bigs and everything, the way they have with the bigs that they have compared to what OKC has. So I think that would be about the best second round matchup they can ask for. But I don't know if that's going to be true. So more likely, if you're a Clippers fan, then you got to think like the second round is more likely going to be, the Timberwolves and or the Nuggets or something like that. But either way, you got to get past the first round, worry about where you are now, take care of business, and, just kind of like look at it from this standpoint. If you're in that Clippers locker room, you cannot let this team get an edge on you. Honestly, the Clippers definitely need to win the first game. The first game is vital for the Clippers because, you know, they don't want to find themselves in a position where it's like, okay, you lost the first home game. Come out there and make a statement the first game and win by 20 points. Win by about 20 points the first game. Let Dallas know how this series is going to be. We're coming to dominate, and that's it. And we're not going to be down 0-2 like we were going back to Dallas and have to make miracles happen and try to win games in a hostile environment where everybody is going to be. I mean, because you know Jerry Jones is probably going to be there. Dallas Cowboys going to be there. Dirk Nowitzki going to be there. Other star players are going to be there. There's a lot of famous people from Texas. So, I mean, the Clippers really need to put this to bed a lot quicker and don't make it is interesting. And I definitely hope that the Clippers can, and I believe they will, as long as Kawhi is healthy, as long as Paul George is healthy, and the rest of the team is healthy. But also, as I said in my previous video, they need James Harden to be a 17 to 20 point man this series in order for them to, you know, get out this series as quickly as possible. If James Harden comes out here giving 13 and 12, 13 points, 12 points with 7 assists and like 4 turnovers, the Clippers could be in trouble. And they really can, because we got to remember all their offense runs through James Harden. So it's like, with that being said, it's one of those situations where you got to you got to have everybody show up the way they're supposed to, and I believe they can. But of course, we got to see them put the product on the floor. Now, Ty Lue said he's been working on this since the other night and after the Suns post game when they lost to the Phoenix Suns for the second time. They beat Phoenix the first night before that, but when they lost to the Phoenix Suns, he said he's already prepping for the Dallas Mavericks right now as we speak. So whatever game plan he's coming up with, it needs to be effective and it needs to work. And everybody needs to be all on one accord. And, you know, they need to shut these analysts up and kind of like keep it moving past Dallas, because Dallas is one of those type teams where they just always seem to give the Clippers trouble based upon the history of them playing Dallas previous years. So they need to really kind of, put them to sleep very early. And, you know, when they see Luka, you know what I'm saying? Like, no friendly, nothing. Go out there and kill him. You know what I'm saying? The only thing I want Kawhi to say to Luka is, close your eyes. That light about to come, because I'm about to put you to sleep. That's the only thing I want him to say to Luka. That's the only thing I want Paul George to say to Luka. And that's it. And I really don't want to hear nothing else about it. I understand Kyrie is going to be there. He's going to play well. Damn it, I need Paul George to offset what Kyrie is doing. You heard me say that overall, when we talk about Hall of Fame and all that stuff, Kyrie is a better player than Paul George, but Paul George can be the better player than Kyrie Irving in this series. He can do that. Paul George can actually be the best player in a series. He can do that. We've seen Paul George play that well. So my point is, he needs to offset everything that Kyrie's doing. If Kyrie dropped 30, you need to at least have 27, 26. Because if Luka drops 40, Kawhi 9 times out of 10 is going to have 30 to 35 with 4 or 5 steals and 9 to 10 rebounds. So, I mean, he's going to offset. Him and Luka are just going to like X each other out. The main thing to this series is either James Harden is going to have to average 17 to 20 points with 8 assists and less turnovers, and or Paul George is going to have to average, if Kyrie is averaging 25 points a game this series, Paul George is going to need to average about 23, 24 points a game this series consistently every single night for them to knock this team off pretty quickly. Or otherwise, it's going to go a lot longer. And I still think the Clippers will win even if it goes 7 games. But you don't want to give the other team the opportunity, because in a game 7, if it gets there, it's a toss-up. It's a coin flip. Anybody could win that.